my dear friends. It's always within us. We just have to water it and nourish it. And a group of beautiful people met yesterday in the Peace Affinity group with the belief that peace is still in America. We just need to come together and nourish it and water it. And for a few minutes, I'd love to share with you what we have discussed, and to invite all of you to join us so that we can nourish peace again in America. It is our time to do this work. On September 11th, it's the 99th anniversary of Gandhi saying, "We are the change." And I don't know about you, I don't want to wait till 100 years to be the change in America. We must come together now and do this work in a beautifully skillful, peaceful, loving way. And our group yesterday, the Peace Affinity group, talked about many ways, including an interfaith gathering that we could possibly organize and participate in to bring together leaders from around the world to discuss peace and the roots of violence and to serve as a healing bridge. We discussed aligning with existing organizations such as the Fellowship of Reconciliation, Tikkun, Sojourners, and many other groups. Compassionate listening was mentioned. We also discussed putting ads in newspapers with the message that peace begins with each one of us, that we are the peace that we wish to see in the world, and that when we become peace, as Thich has lovingly shown us, the world is indeed more peaceful. We also discussed the possibility of coming together, the Sanghas collectively rising up and exhibiting and modeling peace in some fashion. And to help us create the loving foundation and the organizational base, Kelly and Melissa from Oklahoma City, if they're in the audience or in the community today, if they could please stand up. And Melissa and Kelly, thank you. And what we would love to do is afterward, if you would like to be part of this effort, if you would like to be part of it, they're gathering our names, our email addresses, a base, our community base for all of our Sanghas to come together and to be the peace in America. A generous heart, as we know from Thich's model, the capacity to love in America can change the course of history. During the Vietnam War, when Thich went to meet with many, many leaders in Washington, D.C. with a loving heart, the course of history was changed. And among other things, when he went to meet with the Defense Secretary, Robert McNamara, with a loving heart, Mr. McNamara resigned because he no longer wanted to be of the energy of war. And so, and speaking on behalf of the Peace Affinity Group, we would love to invite you to be part of our efforts, to come afterwards and sign up. And a beautiful thing is developing right now in America, and we can participate in this because we have to be the ones to make this happen. We have to decide that it is our time to participate, to lovingly and skillfully and beautifully and mindfully model peace, practice peace, teach peace, and we will change the course of events, and the world will be a more shining, beautiful place. Yes, Kelly and Melissa will be here to the left of the stage after. Thank you very much.
Good morning, dear friends. Today is the September the 3rd, 2005, and we are on our last day of the retreat on the Rockies. The first retreat I offer on the Rocky took place about 20 years ago, and it was for psychotherapists. And since then we have been offering many retreats for psychotherapists in Europe and in North America. And next year there will be another one in Plum Village in the month of August. And the theme is about the mind and the brain. And if you are interested in Buddhist psychology and neuroscience, please come there, because then there will be neuroscientists coming. The teaching of the Buddha concerning birth and death is very deep. In the Plum Village Chanting book, there is a sutra telling us the story of the death of Anathapindika, a lay disciple of the Buddha, and how the monk Shariputra helped him to die peacefully and happily. And you might be interested in learning about that sutra. If we practice looking deeply, we see that life and death, they are not enemies. They interact. Because without dying, there is no life. And without life, there is no dying. So life and death interact. When you look into one, you see the other, and vice versa. You cannot have life without death, because death is within the heart of life. And the other, on the other side, it is also the same. In the teaching of the Buddha, we hear the word nirvana. And nirvana is not a place that can be found in space and time. Nirvana is our true nature of no birth and no death. And with the practice of looking deeply, touching deeply, we can touch our true nature of no birth and no death, and we transcend fear. Today I would like to ask, to invite all of you to participate in one meditation. It's easy to begin our journey to go home to our true nature, because the practice of meditation has the purpose of realizing our true nature, which is the nature of no birth and no death. Nirvana means extinction. Extinction of all notions, all ideas. The notions and the ideas that are the foundation of fear, despair, suffering. So Nirvana is also the extinction of suffering, of notions and suffering. And among the notions we entertain is the notion of birth and death. Being and non-being. There are theologians who have described God as the ground of being. But being cannot be without non-being. And if we say that, like a polytelic, that God is the ground of being, and then people may ask, and then who will be the ground of non-being? And hopefully, with this meditation, we can touch the ground for both being and non-being. Suppose we look into this matchbox box, and ask ourselves the question whether the flame that we need is already there, is hiding somewhere there in the matchbox. The problem has to do with being and non-being. We know that if I make a gesture, and then there will be the manifestation of the flame. But before I make the gesture, can we qualify the flame as non-being? My dear little flame, are you there? Can I qualify you as non-being? And if you listen deeply, you will hear the answer. The answer is something like this: Dear Thầy, dear Sangha, when conditions are sufficient, I manifest. You cannot qualify me as a non-being before the manifestation, and you cannot qualify me as being after the manifestation. The meditation would be easy if we can get rid of our tendency to think dualistically. We know that conditions for the flame to manifest are inside of the box, also outside of the box. Oxygen, for instance, is out here. And we know very well that without oxygen, the flame cannot manifest herself. And it can be hidden in my fingers, because in my fingers there is another condition to help the flame to manifest. If we ask the flame, dear little flame, we know that you are there. Would you please manifest for us? And then the flame will say, sure, I'm glad to do so. Thầy, would you help me, give me the last condition? And I'm going to do that. My dear little flame, please manifest for us. The flame is gone. It has come, and it has gone. Now we can ask her, my dear little flame, where have you come from? Where have you come from? And if we listen deeply, we will see the answer of the flame. dear Thai, dear Sangha, I come from nowhere. I did not come from the north, nor the south, nor the east, nor the west. When conditions are sufficient, I manifest myself. And we know that the flame is right. It has not come from the south or the north. And her nature, the nature of the flame is no coming. We humans, from time to time, we ask, where have I come from? And if we listen to the flame, we can get the answer also. I have not come. I come from nowhere. I have not come from the south, the north, etc. When conditions are sufficient, I manifest myself. And we believe the flame because we have the seed of truth in us. And when we ask the flame, where have you gone now? And we hear the flame, dear Thai, dear Sangha, I have not gone anywhere. I have not gone to the south, the north, the east, the west. When conditions are no longer sufficient, I just stop manifestation. There again, we believe the flame. She's right. And when we have someone who is very close to us, very dear to us, stop her manifestation, his manifestation. We ask the question where our beloved one, where has our beloved one gone? And if we listen to her, to him deeply, we get the same answer. Darling, I have gone nowhere. Because conditions are not sufficient, I just stop my manifestation in order to manifest again. So, looking deeply, we see that the true nature of the flame is the nature of no coming, no going. Brother Fakte, please write that on the board for us. No coming, no going. In Plum Village we have the song, no coming, no going. No after, no before. And what is important here is that we know that before the manifestation of the flame, we cannot qualify her as non-existing. This is very important. We all have our birthday. And we believe that we begin to exist since that day. And before that, we did not exist. Imagine you draw a line. Maybe Brother Fakte can draw a line on. You draw a line. You draw a line representing time. And on the left, we take a point, and we call the point B, birth. B, birth. So from B on, we believe that we exist, we are. But before B, we were not. We were not there. We did not exist. That is something to be reconsidered, because before B is only the date, the moment of manifestation. And before the moment of manifestation, you cannot qualify the flame as non-existing. That's unjust. That's not true. And because if because we could not qualify her as non-existing before B, and then we cannot qualify her as existing after B either. It means that the notion of being and non-being cannot be applied to reality. It is a notion that we create by our mind. It's a mental construction, mental creation. To be or not to be, that is not the question. And therefore, adding to the pair of opposite, no coming, no going, you have to add the second pair of opposite, no birth, no death. The true nature of the flame is the nature of no birth and no death. The true nature of a cloud is also the nature of no birth and no death. It is impossible for a cloud to die. Because to die means from something you become nothing. And it is impossible for a cloud to become nothing. She can become rain or snow or ice, but she cannot become nothing. Her nature is nature of no death. And the cloud hasn't come from nothing. In our mind, we think that to be born means from nothing you suddenly become something. From no one, you suddenly become someone. And looking deeply into reality, we could not find anything like that. Before the cloud took the form of a cloud, she had been something else. The trees, the sunshine, the rain, the earth, and so on. Looking into the cloud, you see the lakes, the oceans, the heat, the sunshine. And that is her former lives, the former lives of a cloud. A cloud has not come from nothing. We have not come from nothing. So our birthday is not exact. That is only the day of our the day that to deliver us. We had been in the womb of our mother long before, and if we push until the day of the conception, we think that that is the real our real birthday. But the question is whether before that the day of conception there was something before. And looking deeply, we realize that before that it had been something already. Something in our mother, something in our father, coming together. So we have not come from nothing. We are a continuation. The word continuation is much better than the word birth. So instead of singing happy birthday, we sing happy continuation day. When we look into this sheet of paper, we see the cloud, a cloud floating. We know that without the cloud, there will be no rain and no tree can grow. So we know that the former life of the paper is the tree, is also the rain, the cloud, the earth. And with the eyes of a practitioner of meditation, we can see the whole cosmos in this sheet of paper. Can you see the sun, the sunshine? Can you see the cloud? Can you see the trees? Can you see the earth, the minerals? All is here. It's not here. It's not only the paper was the tree in the former life, but it continues to be tree now, to be cloud now. If we remove all these elements from the sheet of paper collapse, cannot be there for us anymore. That is interbeing. And we know that the nature of the sheet of paper is the nature of no birth. Because before it took this shape, it had been something else, like a tree, like a cloud. The nature of no birth. Now suppose we burn it. We want to reduce it into nothingness, into non-being. We would not be able to do so. During the incineration, the sheet of paper continue to transform and to manifest in other forms. First, the heat produced by the burning, penetrating into me, into you, and into the cosmos. And if we have a machine sophisticated enough, we can measure the energy of the heat. And the heat will continue the sheet of paper. It's the afterlife of the sheet of paper. It is the continuation of the sheet of paper. And then if you observe, you see that the smoke rising. The smoke rising and become part of a cloud that is a second form of continuation of the sheet of paper. And you can see the sheet of paper continue up there. And maybe tonight it will become a rain. And we may receive it on our forehead. We don't know. And then the ash that can be returned to the soil. And maybe next year, 2 years from now, if you have a retreat here, we can see it in the form of a little flower, blade of grass. So it is impossible for us to reduce something to nothing, to non-being. They thought they can reduce Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi into nothing, but they are wrong. Because these people continue to be with us in other forms. And the energies can be felt, can be touched today. And we are the continuation, their continuation. Therefore, the true nature of the sheet of paper is the nature of no birth and no death, exactly like the nature of the cloud or of the flame. And our true nature is the same. Birth and death, like coming and going, are just notions that cannot be applied to reality. The French scientist Lavoisier said, nothing is born, nothing dies. Rien ne se crée, rien ne se perd. He practiced looking not as a Buddhist, but as a scientist. And he found exactly the same thing that we recite in the Heart Sutra. No birth, no death, no coming, no going. I think we need a bell. He has to do 2 jobs. I would like now to invite the flame to manifest again. And we want to ask her another question. Dear little flame, we are glad you manifest again. Do you think that you are the same flame as we've seen before, or you are a different one? This we have practiced before. Each of us have has our picture when we were 5 years old. And we might ask the little boy or the little girl whether she is the same person with us or she is another person, because we look so different from each other. You now and you when you were 5, you look very different. You are different in form, in feelings, in perceptions, in mental formations, and in consciousness. The question is clear. Are you exactly the same person, or are you two different persons? We talk to the children about the plant of maize, the plant of corn, and the grain of corn that gave birth to the plant of corn. Looking deeply, we see that the grain of corn has not really died. It is still alive in the plant of corn. And the question I address the children is, do you think that the plant of corn is a totally different entity than the grain of corn? They are the same, or they are two different entities. And when we look at our father, of our son, and we ask the question, are we two different persons, or we are just one? We are the continuation of each other. I continue you in the direction of the past, and my son, my daughter, you continue me in the direction of the future. Are we the same person, or we are two different persons? And this is an invitation for us to look deeply. When we listen deeply, we hear the flame saying something like this: Dear Thai, dear Sangha, I am not exactly the same flame as the flame you saw last time, but I am not a totally different flame either. This answer can be applied to the situation of the plant of corn, to the situation of father and son, mother and daughter, and so on. We know that the son is the continuation of the father. Although the son looks different, but he is really a continuation. He is a continuation of his mother also. My mother, myself. My father, myself. My son, myself. My daughter, myself. And in this retreat, the children have had the opportunity to learn about that. The truth of neither the same nor a different entity. Brother Bhakti, please write it down. That is another pair of opposites. Neither the same nor a different entity. And then please also write down the fourth pair of opposite we have discussed before. The reality, the true nature of reality is the nature of no being, no non-being. Both notions, being and non-being, cannot be applied to reality. We asked Brother Fateh to do one more thing. You know that we have point B, and now we want to write down point D. D means death. Between B and D, we have the intention, the tendency to describe it as being. And before B and after D, we have the intention, the tendency to describe it as non-being. And in all the cases that we have discussed, that is not true. We cannot qualify the section before B as non-being. We cannot qualify the section after D as non-being. And therefore, we cannot qualify the section, the segment before B and D as being either. So the true nature of the cloud, the true nature of the flame is the nature of no being, no non-being. Thank you, Brother Fateh. When you drink your tea with mindfulness, not only you enjoy your tea, mindfulness helps you to be truly present. And when you are present, something else is also present. That is life, the wonders of life. And tea is one of the wonders of life. And there is a real encounter with you and the tea, thanks to mindfulness. Because you are there, the tea is there also. And that is mindfulness. And drinking your tea in mindfulness, you get the concentration. And you see that the tea that you're drinking has been the rain, has been the cloud. You don't have to be a poet in order to see the cloud. In the tea is the cloud. Tea and cloud inter-are. You cannot remove the cloud from the tea. And you are truly drinking the cloud. The cloud and the tea inter-are. If you say the cloud is only cloud, tea is only tea, you have not touched reality. Because tea is the same at the same time cloud, and cloud is at the same time tea. The tea is the continuation of the cloud. And if I drink the tea, the tea may continue as blood, as a poem, as a Dharma talk. So there is always a continuation. There is no death. So if it happens that you fall in love with a cloud, and if the cloud is no longer there in her cloud form, don't cry too much, because your beloved cloud is still around. The cloud may be in her new form, the rain, calling to you, darling, darling, I'm here, don't you see me? Don't cry. But because you do not look deeply, you cannot see your beloved. And that is why you continue to cry and to suffer. Your beloved may be very close to you, may be inside of you and just behind you. It seems that the flame, after her cessation of manifestation had to wait for a dozen minutes before she manifests again with Thach's help. But that is not the case. She has not waited, because during her first manifestation, she already continued in other manifestation. Because when she manifested as a flame, she produced the heat that enter my body, that enter your body, that enter the cosmos. That is her continuation already. So don't think that the cloud is only in the direction of the matchbox. And there was some smoke rising in the sky. Don't think that the flame is hiding only in the matchbox. You have to recognize the flame in her new forms of manifestation. The heat, the cloud, and the charcoal. Many of us usually ask the question, what will I become after I die? The question seems to be difficult, but it is not. It can be answered easily if we can answer another question. What happened to me after I die? Now we ask this question, what happened to me in the present moment? What happens to me in the present moment? We can answer. We can observe, we can answer. In the present moment, I'm producing a thought. I'm producing a speech. I'm producing an act. And my thought, the thought that I produce, bears my signature. It is a thought in the direction of just thinking, right thinking, or it might be in the direction of wrong thinking. And the Buddha advised us to produce good thoughts in the direction of right thinking, in order for us to continue beautifully. Because our thought, our continuation, it's like the rain is the continuation of the cloud. It's very simple. It can be seen very concretely. As soon as I produce a thought, that thought will have an impact on my physical health and mental health right away, and will have an impact on the health of the world. And that is why my practice is to assure that I only produce good thoughts in the line of right thinking. The thinking that contains compassion, understanding, and non-discrimination. And it is possible for all of us to produce such a lovely thought, because we all want to continue beautifully. Not only our children continue us, our students, our disciples continue us, but our thought, our speech, and our action continue us. In the Buddhist literature, we have the word karma. Karma means action. Karma as cause and karma as fruit. Karma hetu. Karma hetu is karma cause. Karma phala is karma fruit. And to produce a thought is a kind of action that is karma. And nothing is lost. Everything continue to manifest. And when you say something, your speech bears your signature, and that is your continuation. And you want to say something in the line of right speech, the kind of speech that inspires confidence, hope, joy. And as soon as you produce such a speech, it will have a good impact on our physical health and mental health, and on the health of the world. We are responsible for ourselves and for the world. That's why we want only to produce beautiful, gentle, loving speech. And we know we have that capacity of producing such beautiful speeches. And speaking is also acting. It's also karma, because the words that we say will continue us, will produce an effect on us and on the world. And the other aspect of karma, of action, is our act, our action. What we do in our daily life, driving, cooking, washing, helping, killing, these are action, karma, physical action. And action will have an impact on our health and the health of the world. And we want to produce the kind of action that will benefit our health and benefit the health of the world, called right action. An orange tree produces orange leaves, orange blossoms, and oranges. We produce thought, speech, and action, and these are our continuation. And that can be observed in the present moment. And we can see already our continuation. We don't need to wait until the disintegration of this body in order to know what will become of us. We are becoming right here and right now in the form of our action. And our action has three aspects: thought, speech, and act, physical act. The French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre said something like, l'homme est la somme de ses actes. Man is the sum of all his actions. Man is the totality of his actions. And that comes very close to the teaching of the Buddha. We are what we think, we are what we speak, we say, we are what we do. Our karma, the karma we produce, is us. Therefore, when you look at yourself, your body, your feelings, your perceptions, your mental formations, your consciousness, you think that these five things are you, but you are much more than these five things, these five elements. You have gone to the cosmos already. You have been continued in the cosmos. You are continued by your children. You are continued by your thought, your speech, your action in the world. And if you look, you can recognize yourself outside of this body. Suppose you look at me and you say that Thai will die in a number of years. But if you look deeply, you see that Thai will not die like that. Because if you look around, you see Thai's continuation. A lot around. And each friend of mine continue me to some extent. And I continue them. And that is why looking in this direction you cannot see me, or you can see a little bit of me. You have to look in that direction and you see me. So we have to train ourselves to look like that and not identify this body as ourselves. These feelings of ourselves, we are much more than the 5 elements that are here. Like when we look at the flame, you can only see the flame. And when that form of the flame is not long there, we don't see anything. In fact, the flame has transformed herself into many other forms. The heat, the cloud, the ash, and so on. And we have to follow very closely in order to recognize different forms of continuation of the flame. Abraham Lincoln, he's still there. Thomas Jefferson is still there. How can we help them to be stronger? It is impossible for a cloud to die. It is impossible for Lincoln to die also. And it can be his beautiful continuation. We can continue his work to build the country, to make it beautiful. We have received a heritage, a beautiful heritage. We have to preserve that heritage, to enrich that heritage. By what? By the way we think, by the way we speak, and by the way we act. Understanding, compassion, non-discrimination, brotherhood. These values should be seen in our way of thinking, in our way of speaking, in our way of acting. And we can continue our ancestors well with that practice. Nhat was a businessman. He was a lay disciple of the Buddha. And he took a great deal of pleasure to learn the Dharma and to put and to support the Sangha. It was the king Bimbisara who gave the Buddha the first piece of land, the bamboo grove, in order to make a practice center for monks. called Venuvana. And Anathapindika had offered the Buddha another beautiful center of practice in the country of Shravasti in the north. He bought it from a prince. He wanted the Buddha to come to his country in order to share the teaching and the practice. He was very rich, but he has a very big heart because he devoted a lot of his time and energy and material resources to help with the poor, the destitute in the country. That is why people love him so much. And the name Anathapindika was given to him by his people, the one who cares for the lonely, the destitute. That is the signification of the word Anathapindika. And his real name is Sudatta. There was one time when he went bankrupt. The economy of the country. But he did not suffer during that time of bankruptcy because so many people loved him. His friends came and helped him to rebuild his business. He has 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. And all 3 of them also follow him to the practice center and listen to the Buddha's Dhamma talk. His boy first did not want to come to the Dhamma talk. So Anathapindika found out a way in order to get him involved within the learning and practice. He said, "My son, today I'm so tired I cannot go to the Dhamma talk. Can you go there for me and listen to the talk? And if you just remember one sentence and go back and report to me, and then I offer you enough money to buy a car or something like that." And because of that, his son got involved. He liked the Buddha. That is what we call a skillful means. One day, Anathapindika was very sick. It was about 35 years after the first time he met the Buddha. The Buddha came and visited him. And then after that, he appointed the monk Shariputra to take care of him and help him to die peacefully. Because Shariputra is a very close friend of Anathapindika. They work together by foot, from the city of Rajagraha to the city of Shravasti during many weeks. And they became a couple of very close friends, one monk, one lay person. And Shariputra supported him in looking for the place to offer to the Buddha as a practice center. One day Shariputra learned that Anathapindika was dying. So he asked his younger brother in the Dharma the Venerable Ananda was a cousin of the Buddha, to come with him. And when they came, Anathapindika was so weak, he could not sit up. Sariputta said, "Dear friend, just stay where you are. You don't need to sit up. We will bring 2 chairs close to you and we shall talk." And then when the monks are seated, Sariputta asked, "Dear friend, how do you feel? Is the pain in you decreasing or still increasing?" Venerables, it seems that the pain in my body does not decrease. It is increasing all the time. I suffer a lot. And Sariputta decided to offer a guided meditation on the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and the 5 trainings. He was a very intelligent person. He knew that in the mind of Sariputta, in the mind of Anathapindika, in the store consciousness of Anathapindika, there were so many seeds of happiness. Every time Anathapindika think of the Buddha, serve the Buddha, think of the Dharma, serve the Dharma, think of the Sangha and serve the Dharma, he got a lot of happiness. That is why he decided to give a guided meditation on the 4 recollections. In this retreat, the monastic have chanted that the 4 recollections for you. Recollection on the Buddha, on the Dharma, on the Sangha, on the Sila. Sila means the mindfulness training. And it worked very well. Focusing his attention on the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, Anathapindika touched the seed of happiness in him, and a balance was restored between the pain and the joy, and he was able to smile. This is something you can remember, you can practice. If you sit close to a person who is dying, you should talk to him, you should talk to her, and touch the seed of happiness in him or in her. You should be able to recognize the seeds in the agonizing person. And even if that person is in a coma, we should also talk to him or to her. Because there is a way by which that person can communicate with us. There was a student in Bordeaux, France, who learned that his mother is dying, and he came to Plum Village to get some teaching, some instructions in order to help his mother. And Sister Tian Kong told him to do that, means to talk to his mother and talk to her only about the beautiful, the happy things in her life. And when he arrived in California, where his mother was dying, his mother was in a coma. Doctors have tried to revive him, to bring him back to conscious, but they failed. And the young student just practiced according to the instructions. He sat and he just talked to his mother. And about 45 minutes later, she came back. She woke up. It's very amazing. The doctors could not believe it. You know the Fellowship of Reconciliation. When I first came to America, Alfred Hassler, who was the General Secretary of the Fellowship of Reconciliation, peace organization in Newark, in New York, Nhat, New York, and he helped me to tour America in order to speak about the situation in Vietnam. That was in 1966. And with the help of Alfred and the Fellowship of Reconciliation, we have organized peace activities a little bit in Europe, everywhere in Europe, in Asia, and so on. And we have shared a lot of time together working for peace in Vietnam. And there were very joyful moments when we worked together to end the war in Vietnam. One day, Sister Chan Khong, myself, a number of friends were driving to, I think, Omega Institute in Upper New York City to give a retreat. We learned that Alfred was agonizing in a Catholic hospital not very far from there. So we decided to go there and to see him. When he arrived, Dorothy, his wife, and Laura, his daughter, were there. And Alfred was being fed with glucose serums, but he was also in a coma. And Laura, his daughter, who had volunteered to work in our peace office in Paris, she was so glad to see myself and Sister Chan Khong coming to visit his father. She tried her best to wake up Alfred. Alfred, Daddy, do you know that Thai is here? Sister Chan Khong is here. But Alfred did not wake up. And then I told Sister Chan Khong to sing for Alfred. The song I wrote using the words of the Buddha in the Pali Canon, also in the Chinese Canon, the same text. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundaries. My nature is no birth and no death. It goes on like that. And when Sister Chan Khong sang it for the third time, Alfred woke up. You see, there is a communication possible. We were very happy to see Alfred awake, and I was massaging his feet to give him the feeling that he is there. He was there. And Laura said, Alfred, you know that Thai is here? Sister Chan Khong is here? Alfred was not able to speak, but his eyes showed that he was aware that I was there. Sister Chan Khong was there. And then Sister Chan Khong began to talk to him. We have learned what to talk about. Alfred, do you remember the time we were in Rome? At that time, 300 Buddhist monks were in the prison of Vietnam because they refused to be drafted into the army. And in Rome, we have been able to invite 300 Catholic priests to come for a vigil a demonstration, and each Catholic priest wear the name of a Buddhist monk in Vietnam. Do you remember that, Alfred? And she continued to talk to him about happy souvenir in our working together during the time working together for peace. And you know what happened? After about 10 minutes, Alfred opened his mouth and said, "Wonderful. Wonderful," 2 times. And after that, he sunk back into the coma again. It was late and he had to give an orientation talk at Omega Institute in Upper New York. That is why we had to leave. But we told Dorothy and Laura to continue the practice. And the next morning, very early, I got a telephone call from Laura, and she reported that her father died very peacefully, without any pain. Shariputra did the same thing. While being with Anathapindika, he tried to water the good seeds, the seeds of happiness in Anathapindika by practicing the 4 recollections. And after that, Anathapindika was able to smile. They continued the guided meditation. Let us practice together, 3 of us, he said. Breathing in, I know that my eyes is not me. My ear is not me. I am more than my eyes, my ear, my nose, my tongue. Breathing in, I know this body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundaries. The disintegration of this body is not my disintegration. My true nature is the nature of no birth and no death. Breathing in, I'm aware of the element of heat in me, fire. The heat in me, the fire, the element fire in me is not me. I'm more than the element fire. Breathing in, I'm aware of the element water in me. I'm not the water. I'm more than the water. I'm not caught in the element water in me. You know the 4 great elements, Mahabhuta, heat, fire, earth, air, and fire, air, earth, and water. Yes, 4. Breathing in, I know the form that I see with eyes is not me. The sound I hear with my ear are not me. So the guided meditation help the dying person not to identify with his 6 organs, sense organs. It's very important. This body hasn't come from nowhere. When conditions are sufficient, this body manifests. It has not come from the north, the south, the east, the west. Before the manifestation, you cannot say it did not exist. After the manifestation, you cannot say that it exists. You know exactly what we just hear in the Dhamma talk. And by that time, Ananda, the Venerable Ananda, saw that tears began to roll down the eyes of Anathapindika. He felt sorry for Anathapindika. He asked, "My dear friend, why are you crying? Do you regret anything? Anattapanika said, no, Venerable Ananda, I don't regret anything. Or maybe you didn't succeed in your meditation. No, Venerable Ananda, I succeeded very well in my meditation. Why are you crying there then? Venerable Ananda, I cry because I am so moved. I have served the Buddha, the Sangha, the Dharma more than 30 years. And I have never received and put into practice such a wonderful teaching like the one given me today by the Venerable Shariputra. The teaching on birth, on no birth, no death, no coming, no going, no being, no non-being. Ananda was still young. He said, dear friend, you don't know, but this kind of teaching we monks, monastics, we receive almost every day. Anattapanika looked at the Venerables and said, dear Venerable Ananda, please, when you go home, please tell the Lord that we lay people, even if many of us are busy, not capable of receive such wonderful teaching. But there are those of us, as lay people, who are free enough, who have enough time to receive this teaching and to put into our practice. So please tell the Buddha, request him to dispense this kind of teaching to us, lay people as well. And that was the last request made by Anattapanika. Ananda accepted to do the commission. And after that, Anattapanika died peacefully. If you like to read the story again, it is in the Plumley Chanting book. And if you are assisting, if you are social workers or doctors or psychotherapists who have the duty to accompany the dying people, I think it's very helpful, very wonderful to study and to practice this teaching. If you have non-fear, if you have touched the nature of no birth and no death in you, you'll be very precious element, conditioned for that person to die in peace. You will be inspiring, very inspiring to him or to her. Your presence, like the presence of Shariputra, will help the dying person to die peacefully without fear. I'd like to ask Sister Chen Kong to come and sing the song, This Body Is Not Me. I don't know whether she still remembers that song.
This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundary. I have never been born, and I will never die. Look at the ocean and the sky filled with storm, manifestation of my wondrous mind. Since immemorial time, I have been free. Birth and death are only door by which I pass by, sacred threshold on my journey. Birth and death are hide and seek game. So smile to me, take my hand, let us say goodbye. Say goodbye till we meet again. We meet today, we shall meet tomorrow. We are meeting in all walk of life. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundary. I have never been born, and I will never die. Birth and death are only door by which I pass by. Sacred threshold on my journey. Birth and death are hide and seek game. So smile to me, hold my hand, let us say goodbye. Say goodbye till we meet again. We meet today, we shall meet tomorrow. We are meeting in all walk of life. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundary. I have never been born, and I will never die.
Dear friends, we know that when you come to a retreat, to a practice center, with the practice of calming, walking, sitting, reconciling, we can get a lot of relief. But the greatest relief of all that you can get from this teaching and practice is the relief you get after you touch your true nature, the nature of no birth and no death. Anattapadika spoke for us. We all have the condition to receive this teaching and to put into practice, because the outcome of practice is non-fear, because we have been able to touch our true nature of no birth and no death, and we are free from notions of being, non-being, coming, going, the kind of notions that are the foundation of so much afflictions and fear. And as we have had the chance to encounter the Buddha Dharma, we should get the best of the teaching. Not only the kind of bomb that can lessen our pain, our sorrow a little bit. You have to get the best of the teaching on no birth and no death. And this is the cream of the Buddhist teaching. And as we have a Sangha, we shall have an opportunity to receive and put into practice this teaching, will bring us great liberation, great joy. It's time to ask the monastic to come and to offer our gratitude to Bodhisattvas, to all of you who have helped to make this retreat possible. You have helped made retreat a big success. We have been together more than 5 days. We have practiced together, walking, sitting, eating, breathing, watering the good seeds in us. And all of us feel better. And we vow that we will continue the practice wherever we are. And we shall try our best to build the Sangha wherever we are, in order for us to continue the practice for a long time. Sangha as a refuge. Please. And the children to come to the stage.
No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free, because I am in you and you are in me. Because I am in you and you are in me. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free, because I am in you and you are in me. Because I am in you and you are in me. Dear friends, let me tell you how I feel.
for those who have lost their sleep, please pick up.